Welcome back to 3D Sportscast. This is episode, I think, 11. We are now at the conference championship round. This has been kind of a rough couple of days for me.
Yes, he's been on suicide watch since
Sunday night.
Sunday. It's been 3 days.
No, it's not that bad.
It's not that bad.
It's not that bad, but it was rough. We'll get into that a little bit more, but even despite that, it was an interesting week, starting with that Baltimore-Houston game. I guess we can just start there. Baltimore was the favorite going in, obviously the 1 seed. Yeah. I wasn't sure how they'd look having the bye,
having that rest week and given their track record in the playoffs as well. I mean, they don't exactly have,
exactly
the best history there.
And, Houston gave them a run for their money in the first half. It was tied 10-10 at halftime.
Well, keep in mind, one of those touchdown
was
for
a punt
Houston
return.
Was a punt return.
Yes.
So that wasn't their offense.
Ended up being their only touchdown of the game because
correct.
Houston got shut out in the second half.
Which I think goes to show how amazing Baltimore's defense is.
They have a great defense,
because Cleveland's defense
was
in my opinion, I considered them the best defense in the playoffs. And then Houston came in and obliterated them, lit them up, and then they go into Baltimore, and Baltimore just shuts them down.
Yeah.
I do think it also comes down to Houston's experience. They're a very young team, and Baltimore is not – I mean, they're not an old team by any means, but they've been in the playoffs. They have more experience, and it's a much more seasoned team.
And with that being said, if you're a Houston fan, you got to be proud.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah,
you have a bright future.
You can't be upset.
I mean, obviously, Baltimore was the favorite. You guys had a great run, but obviously, Baltimore in that second half just got the better of you.
Oh, yeah.
And Baltimore, at this point, I think, is the favorite to win the Super Bowl.
Well, look at Lamar Jackson. If he continues to play like this, he's going to lead his team to not only to the Super Bowl, but to win it. I mean, he had over 100 yards in the air and over 100 yards rushing in a playoff game.
And this is why also he should win MVP this year.
He should definitely win MVP.
Great season for him, and congratulations to Baltimore as I'm rooting for you, at least in this next game, obviously, for obvious reasons. I thought Houston would hang in there, which they did for a while, but Baltimore proved to be too tough and proved why they were the favorites and why they were the 1 seed in the AFC in that game, as they, again, completely shut down Houston's offense for the most part. That only touchdown was a special teams touchdown, and then their offense really got going in the second half and finished off.
Well, and even
Houston
though
nicely.
Houston, to look at the bright side, even though they didn't score any offensive touchdowns, C.J. Stroud still didn't have a turnover, and he had 175 yards. He still played a good game. They just couldn't find the end zone. They just couldn't complete
part of it
those
with
drives.
Houston too is not only are you young, but you got to consider a lot of Stroud's weapons that he had throughout the season was out. I mean, not Tank Dell. What's his name?
The other, I don't remember.
Is it Tank Dell?
Yeah.
Was he out?
No, he was out. I just don't know if that was the right name. I know it's Dell, but I can.
Yeah, it's Tank Dell.
Was it Tank Dell?
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought I had that name wrong. Anyway,
definitely Tank Dell.
He was out, and then a couple of Robert Woods was in and out. Noah Brown was in and out. Nico Collins ended up being his main.
Yeah, which Nico Collins is still a very good receiver.
But he didn't have much options outside.
No,
I mean, you got Dalton Schultz,
only have one.
The tight end, Devin Singletary, your running back, but Nico Collins ended up being the main receiver, and Houston Young, they'll have a bright future, but that's another thing is Stroud was kind of limited with weapons, especially with that.
And he still protected the ball amazingly, and
his
he
poise
still
is
looked
fantastic.
amazing. C.J. Stroud, if he continues to be this good,
well,
I mean,
and I said, and I believe it was one of the last videos that no matter what happens this year, I think Stroud's a future MVP and a future at least
100%.
Super Bowl one.
Well,
there were
chances this year that he was the MVP front runner for
and he's
for a
definitely going to win
weeks.
Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Oh, period. You can't give it to anybody else. I'd be surprised if he's not a consensus Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Either way, great season for Houston, but congratulations to Baltimore.
Yep.
Moving forward, the second game on Saturday night was the number 1 seed in the NFC, the San Francisco 49ers facing the Green Bay Packers.
This was a crazy game because there for a while it looked like Green Bay was going to have themselves a crazy upset.
In a lot of ways, shoulda, coulda won because they were up most of the game.
Again, I think this one comes down to the same thing that the other one did, the other game we just talked about did, but in a little bit of a different fashion. Green Bay just doesn't have the experience San Francisco does.
Another young team on the up and up.
Yeah. Now, they did play a much better game than Houston did, especially against that amazing San Francisco team. But in the end, San Francisco came out. They won it in the end. And they actually won it, I believe, on the final drive of the game. They won a game-winning drive. They did. And to hold a team like San Francisco, to make them need a game-winning drive is impressive.
And you're exactly right. I think Green Bay is kind of the NFC's version of Houston. Young team, up-and-coming, bright future. Nothing to be disappointed about if you're Green Bay. Although the biggest thing is you actually did look like you were going to win there at the end, and you didn't. But Jordan Love and C.J. Stroud, they both comparable.
Look amazing. Yeah, most definitely.
Obviously, Love, this is his first year starting, but he's been in the league for, I think it's his third year.
Is it his third?
Yeah.
Okay.
Either way, he's been in the league a couple years. But this is his first year as a starter. But Green Bay, again, a team that is playing well. And another thing is San Francisco, they got all their weapons back, but I believe Deebo Samuel left this game early with an injury. I don't think it's serious, but he did not finish that game, so that kind of helped. That was a weapon gone for San Francisco. But give credit also, what about the story of Brock Purdy? It looked like they were going to lose this game, but when he didn't play a great game. It was kind of rainy and wet. That also was rain. He doesn't throw the ball great in the rain.
Well, actually, if you watch the game, at the beginning of the game, he was actually throwing with a glove on.
Yes, and then
I think that was kind of throwing him off because he took it off, which you could tell he sacrificed a little bit of control there.
Yeah.
But he wasn't used to throwing
with
that glove.
But what I'll say is, despite the elements and despite being down all that, when it mattered, like you said, that last drive, he got it done.
He did.
And they're moving on to the NFC Championship game. And that story of Brock...
It blows me away that people still doubt Brock Purdy's...
And my thing is, we all know the talent that San Francisco has. We all know their history and all that. That's the team, the talent they have, whatever. But just looking at Brock Purdy...
A bad QB doesn't do what he did that game.
I love that story for him. The last overall pick... And again, he led this team to the NFC Championship last year. Now, remember what happened? He got hurt. And so hopefully he doesn't get injured this time.
And the thing is, you can't say that he's just an average QB. I don't understand how people say that.
I'm rooting for the guy. I'll just say that. It's a great story, and hopefully he stays healthy. He's got a tough task upcoming, though, with a great hot team coming in. The next game we'll get to for this divisional round was Tampa Bay at Detroit. It was a great game, really.
A great game. I mean, I was just blown away. Both of these teams at the beginning of the season, I don't think people really expected them to do nearly as good as either of them did.
I picked Detroit to win the division. Now, I didn't
But to have the talent that they have, to be one of the best in the whole league.
That was before I even knew about the emergence of Sam Laporta and Jahmyr Gibbs and guys like that. And also, I knew they were an up-and-coming team, but to get to the NFC Championship for a team that hasn't won a playoff game in like 30-some years. That's awesome for Detroit. It really is. And got to congratulate Tampa Bay, too, for another team, as you mentioned, no one thought would be here. And they competed well.
Well, they started predicting him. If you look at Baker Mayfield, he's predicted to get a $40 million a year contract, which is insane. But if you look at the other guys that are getting paid that, he definitely deserves it because he was kind of holding this Tampa Bay team in the game.
Yeah.
There was some question. The defense was the biggest reason they lost. Tampa Bay's defense did not have an answer for Detroit.
And you got to give credit for Detroit's offense. But,
you most definitely do. Detroit's offense is very good, and they picked apart that Tampa Bay defense. I don't know if it was bad schemes, injuries, what it was, but Tampa Bay's defense could not stop Detroit no matter how good Baker Mayfield played. His offense couldn't compete with
and if you think about Tampa Bay, they're a team that a couple years ago won a Super Bowl, obviously with Brady. He leaves. The biggest question is who's going to be that quarterback. They bring in Mayfield, and they still have other weapons. Like they got Mike Evans, they got Chris Godwin. You know, they have guys on that team. But you're right. Baker really stepped in, and especially the second half of the season.
Well, and he had over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did have a bad pick there at the end of the game that really kind of sealed the deal.
But that's when you're trying. He was trying to force
it. And they probably could have won had he not done that.
There's situations.
But you never know.
There's situations in a game where you start feeling the pressure. You have to. try to make a play, and sometimes
and someone like Baker Mayfield, he has a lot of experience. He's been in the league for quite a while, but he really doesn't have any playoff experience. He's never had a good team.
He had that one run with Cleveland,
where he made it to one game. This is the deepest he's ever been in the playoffs.
I believe.
Well,
I think it was the same because I think
he has two.
It was the divisional round, and that they lost when he was with Cleveland too. So, but yeah,
really, you can't complain if you're Tampa Bay.
And it'll be interesting to see what Tampa Bay does next year. But
I think they bring Mayfield back. If you don't mind,
I agree. Again, you got guys on that team with Super Bowl experience. Mike Evans with his, I think, 10th consecutive year with 1,000-yard receiving
which is crazy.
year.
Every year he's been in the league, I believe.
Yeah, I think so. And then Baker Mayfield. So
And then Detroit too.
Let's
talk about Detroit.
Let's talk about Detroit.
I mean, it's just insane how good they are. I mean, there's a very good chance next week that they could beat San Francisco and make it to the Super Bowl.
And I'll say this: if San Francisco plays like they played against Green Bay, Detroit's going to win.
They will beat them. They will 100%.
Now, I think San Francisco will come out playing better than that, but
because they did have a bye. They rested a week,
and I think the weather played some factors. in that
I most
too.
definitely agree.
But it's going to be interesting to see what happens in this NFC Championship game because Detroit. Again, I thought they would be good. I picked them to win the division, make a playoff game, but they've even exceeded those expectations for me. And so they're one win away from making it to their first ever. They never even played in a Super Bowl, so
it'd be crazy, is what it would be.
But again, I had San Francisco make it to the Super Bowl. They're still the favorites at home. We'll see how it plays out, though. But good luck to Detroit. That's also another great story. Either way, whoever wins here, you either got the story of Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, making it to the Super Bowl, or Detroit.
Which is insane.
Either way, on that side,
I kind of want Detroit to hurry up and lose. That way, the Commanders can hire Ben Johnson for our head coach.
We'll see. As speaking of Tampa Bay, and then also to the next game, the Kansas City Buffalo game, both of our Super Bowl champion picks are now out.
Yeah, unfortunately,
we both Sunday we saw, although
mine was kind of a long shot anyway. I wasn't really exactly.
It was, and mine was a little bit biased, obviously, but ours. Let's get to that game. Let's just rip off the Band-Aid. Last game Sunday night, Kansas City at Buffalo. It was a great. I mean, if you're just a football fan, it was another great game.
Yeah, it was
great rivalry game. In Buffalo, we finally got Kansas City in Buffalo, which
doesn't happen very often.
No, it doesn't, and so there's that. Honestly, there's so much I could say about this game. I'm trying to figure out.
Keep it slightly short here.
Keep it short, and also I'm trying to figure out just what I want to say and where to begin. I would say that to everyone who's blaming Josh Allen, to anyone who's blaming Tyler Bass.
You definitely can't
just
do
stop
that.
Because it's a team sport. It's a whole game. A lot of events lead up to that.
Yeah.
And again, you got to give Kansas City some credit in the way they competed. Obviously, they're a great team. But another thing is our defense was beat up.
Yeah,
showed.
And you could tell your defense was beat up because they were not playing how they did. I mean, and these teams, you guys played earlier in the year, so we know what the matchup looks like. And we know what it typically is, and you beat them.
Well, and usually it's a close competitive game like this.
Yeah.
The thing is, we have had the better of them in the regular season. They've had the better of us in the playoffs, and that's unfortunate for us. But they've won when it matters. But again, defense was beat up. That showed. Special teams. Obviously, Tyler Bass missed that kick, but the other. Let's not even talk about that. Sam Martin, our punter, was injured. Should not have been playing.
That was probably the worst punting I have ever seen in a football game.
And he's a good punter, but he was not good to play.
Well, you could tell he was hurting because he's kind of hobbling around getting out there. Every time he kicked the ball, it went like 12 and a half yards out of bounds.
We were doing there. We should have had someone else punt. There's that.
You have a backup punter. Like, you have one for a reason.
Well, we signed, I think, a punter.
The thing is,
and then got rid of him,
would have been better than an injured punter that you had.
I'm pretty sure we signed a punter to replace him, and then we got rid of him and stuck with.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all.
So there's that. There was the fake punt, which was also terrible.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it was like a DeMar Hamlin. I seen a hilarious meme. It was like a DeMar Hamlin Make-A-Wish play.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, why would you give someone who has no offensive experience, has played 4 snaps, When your season is on the line.
I heard,
if you would have ran that play with any offensive player, you probably would have got it because there was a hole.
What I heard too is that wasn't even a coach's call. Apparently they saw Kansas City only had 10 guys on the field and they decided to audible to that. The players did. But the thing is that
you shouldn't have been DeMar Hamlin.
Well, not only that, but the play, like, you have 10 guys on the field, so I get that thinking. But why would you? There's still 10 guys there to stop it. You ran towards
the short side.
Yeah, the short side where there was defenders. And it's not even like because if we needed only 1 or 2 yards, we would have gotten it. But we needed 5 yards to get.
It was 4th and 5.
The thing
That's
is,
just
if you
too
would
much
have given that,
to
like,
a run right at. Even though there's one less defender,
like say you
still
put
too hard to get.
a tight end out there to block and give him the ball, somebody who has some power behind him. You put a skinny, he's a linebacker, right? What is
he's
DeMar
a
Hamlin?
safety,
a safety, a skinny, tiny safety. He's not going to be able to power through those linemen.
And it was just not set up well. And I think it was like, oh, they have 10 guys on the field. We got to figure out a way. Which I get that thinking, but it was not the right play call, not the right. It was just now. Luckily, we got bailed out by the fumble through the back of the end zone, which got the ball back.
Which I've seen a lot of stuff about wanting to change that rule. I don't think they should. I think
I like
should
that
be
rule.
a rule.
Yeah, I do too.
Even if it would have gone against you guys, I
agree.
But
I agree.
The thing is, you should be punished. And if they're gonna change it, I don't think it should just be. I think if they're gonna change it, maybe instead of changing possessions, like giving it to the other team, maybe put them back at the 25.
Mm-hmm.
So back them up to the 25-yard line. Make them go up there again. But it needs to be something. Like because if everybody's gonna try to reach for that and fumble the ball. Then if it's not a turnover or at least a big downfall, I think they should keep it the way it is. Personally, I don't think they should change it at all. But you'll get people complaining about it.
Yeah, and so that kept us in the game. And now let's talk about the offense. Let's talk about Josh Allen. First of all, the offense on either side didn't look like they could be stopped. And then
they were both rolling.
And then all of a sudden, it was weird because Buffalo was on long possessions for touchdown drives. Kansas City's possessions were quick.
You guys
up and down the field.
Dominated time of possession.
We dominated time of possession. We dominated the run game. And then the thing is throughout the whole game, I was thinking, can our defense get a stop? Then once we hit the fourth quarter, our defense did make a couple big plays, but then our offense kind of
dropped off. Yeah, because at the end you could see.
It was our run game all of a sudden couldn't get going, which was
it was
weird.
Your run game couldn't get going. Your linemen weren't blocking
as
well.
good. Yeah, and
so Josh Allen didn't have much time.
Well, because Chris Jones was a non-factor in the game, and he was a huge factor in those last couple drives.
And your run game, like you just said, your run game was working extremely well in the first 3 quarters of the game. In the fourth quarter, they almost didn't use it at all.
It's strange because, again, our defense didn't look like it get stopped. We got stopped. But then, it's like our offense, run game wasn't good. Now, again, we look at Josh Allen, his performance. First of all, for a turnover machine, he had 0 turnovers in the playoffs.
He has been controlling the ball extremely well this playoff.
He had 2 great rushing touchdowns himself. A passing touchdown, which was a fantastic pass, best pass of the game. But on those last couple possessions, especially that last one, let's talk about the perfect throw to Diggs, which Diggs didn't catch. There's that.
Yeah, that was definitely... you can't blame Allen for that one.
Then we get down... I don't know if we're in the red zone yet, but close to that area.
Yeah.
Field goal range, at least. We needed a touchdown because that thing is even if Bass made that field goal, we would have gave. It was a tie game.
You would have been
the Chiefs the ball back with a chance to score, and even if they didn't, it would have gone to overtime. So there's that. So we needed a touchdown. Allen was made, and everyone is giving crap for Allen for missing that throw or not giving it to Diggs on the check down, which I get. But here's the thing. If we get it to Diggs on the check down, who is to say we're going to score? He made the right decision. Shakir was open. It's just, again, back to the line blocking Chris Jones. Yeah. Chris Jones got in there. Deion Dawkins got pushed back, and Allen got hit as he threw that.
Yeah,
if Allen has one more second.
He didn't have the power there.
No.
And the TV broadcast was really kind of irritated me a lot because there was a lot of times they wouldn't show
the replays and
stuff. They wouldn't show replays.
They were too busy showing Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift on the sideline instead of showing the action.
To be fair, they did only show Taylor Swift like 2 or 3 times. They showed Patrick Mahomes
more,
like 9 million
That's
times.
True.
They're not even talking about him, and they'll take away from the game.
That
was irritating me.
Patrick Mahomes they showed way too much when Our offense is playing, and they're not showing what's happening.
During that play, when the Josh Allen throw that was short, everybody was like, why did he throw it to him? He would have been wide open had that throw had enough distance.
Yep.
It didn't get enough distance
because he got hit as he got bumped as he
his
threw it.
blocker ran into him.
Yep.
But on the TV broadcast, the only thing they show was the release, which in the angle they had, you could hardly tell that he was getting hit. And that was it. And then they showed it once, and that was it. They showed Pat Mahomes celebrating on the sideline. It was stupid.
And this is the thing, this is why everyone except Chiefs fans are going to be rooting against Kansas City in the AFC Championship, because the NFL, again, Patrick Mahomes is a good quarterback. They're a good team, but the amount of exposure and the treatment they get is just
it's stupid.
It's gotten to a point where, in the fact that the narrative is Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen can't beat Patrick Mahomes in a big game, it's also stupid because, first of all,
regular season game was huge.
Well, that was one of the most Josh Allen has beaten Patrick Mahomes. Also, the thing is this is a team sport. If you watch that whole game,
it's not like Josh Allen lost the game.
If you watch that whole game, which quarterback played better?
Oh, Josh Allen for sure. Also, Pat Mahomes did not play a better game than Josh Allen at all.
Mind you, Patrick Mahomes did play a good game, but our defense was also beat. But Josh Allen, he's the reason we were in that position. A couple years ago, when everyone made fun of Josh Allen for losing to Patrick Mahomes, he scored on this very similar play that he would have had with Shakir here if he didn't get hit.
Yeah.
A throw to Gabe Davis to give us the lead with 13 seconds. It was like the same play. And Josh Allen never touched the ball again, and we lost. How do you blame that on Josh Allen when he gave us the lead with 13 seconds? Like, this whole Josh Allen cannot win big games is mind-blowing. And again, the hate that Tyler Bass, now mind you, he did not have a great game himself. Even the one kick he made was not good.
Pretty far
And he struggled in the playoffs because the game against the Steelers, he didn't do good. But Tyler Bass overall has been a good kicker, but to put all the hate on him for that one kick, we shouldn't have been in that position.
Yeah, it's just dumb.
Also, the thing I will say that sucks for us as Bills fans is the fact that he missed it wide right. That's really
because that already happened once.
Pain.
Poor guy.
But again, Tyler Bass, as a Bills fan, there's things in games like that's frustrating. We always seem to be on the losing end of the stick. And
it's unfortunate.
And here's the one thing about Detroit that you mentioned as far as you're happy for him and just be crazy to make it to the Super Bowl. I would love it for him too, and I'd be happy for him. But I saw someone post, as a Bills fan, it's kind of, because I can relate to this too. It's kind of like always being the groomsman, but never the groom is what they say. Like you're happy for the people that make it there and do it, but then at some point you're finally like, when's it my turn?
Yourself, yeah.
And it's like year after year after year, it's the same old story. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if you look, since the Lions last won a playoff game, how many playoff games we've won, division titles we've won, conference championships we've been in.
0 Super Bowls.
And yet, if Detroit wins a Super Bowl before us, I will be happy for you guys. But you can't tell me that they're a better organization than Buffalo. It's just so unfortunate that we can't get over the hump. Yeah. Well, we've had Hall of Famers, talent, like some of the best. We just can't.
I seen something about and it sucked for you guys. Tom Brady
was in our division for
whatever 20
and
million
now we're
years.
dealing with the Chiefs, even though they're not in our division, they're still in our conference. But yeah,
I seen something talking about it being the Madden cover curse.
Which honestly,
because every year after somebody's on the Madden,
everyone
cover,
was saying that a while back in the season. But actually, the fact that we even made it this far, we were 6-6. Well, didn't look like we were going to make the playoffs.
The season is long enough that anything can happen, and people be like, "Well, the Madden cover curse." Something I saw that
Mahomes was on the cover of Madden.
I know, yeah. So something I saw that I thought was kind of funny. Your team losing was the only upsetting loss this round of the playoffs in the divisional round, because Houston, nobody expected to get this far. Green Bay, nobody expected this far. And Tampa Bay, nobody expected to get this far. So all three of those teams losing, they went out on we did way better than expectations.
Yeah.
We had a good season. We'll get them next year.
And
you guys,
that's
it's
true.
like, wow, we didn't
get because this is our third year in a row now we've lost in the divisional. And it's like, it's great we're making it this far consistently, but we can't get over that.
Yeah, you've got to get over that hump.
And so it's crazy. Back in the 90s, we went to 4 straight Super Bowls, couldn't get over the hump. Which, honestly, if you think about that, that's impressive still, though.
It's more impressive to make it to 4 and lose them all than.
But now we've won our division 4 straight years, and we're losing. Well, now once we did get to the conference championship, but even then, it's like, yeah, it is what it is. But I just hate every year. It's like next year's our year, and so far it hasn't. But another thing that I saw that's interesting is that, well, first of all, I saw that this was the most watched divisional game in NFL history. So there's that,
which is crazy.
Which rightfully so. Also, I saw that no team that has beaten Josh Allen's Bills in the playoffs has won their next game.
Let's hope.
I'm just saying that no team that has beaten the Bills since Josh Allen's been in the playoffs has won their next game.
I want Baltimore to absolutely.
I do too.
Well, we can kind of use that as a segue.
Yeah, let's segue
to next week's game.
Making our picks.
Is that this weekend?
Yeah, this upcoming weekend. Because then there's a weekend in between that and the Super Bowl.
You get kind of a bye, not a bye, but you know what I mean.
A week off. Yep, which is I think is the Pro Bowl week.
Yes, it is.
So
which
anyway,
is stupid,
but yeah, this weekend is the conference championships. We can go.
We'll start with Baltimore
and Kansas City.
In
Baltimore.
Look, Kansas City, obviously they beat Buffalo. They beat some good teams. But Kansas City is not the best. This is not the best Kansas City team we've seen.
No, it's not.
They're really weak on offense.
And I will say, you got to give them credit for the way that they've played when it's mattered. But
Baltimore's defense?
Their defense, yeah. It's going to be hard. I wouldn't be surprised either way. Now, we'll see how it goes. But
because
Baltimore
you can't tell me with a straight face that Kansas City's offense this year is any better than Houston's offense was.
That's a good point. Like
Houston
at least look at the whole season
team. Obviously,
as a whole. Yeah.
Pat Mahomes is better than
this point. As of now, yeah.
Pat Mahomes is better than C.J. Stroud. Kelsey's better than any of the receivers on the Houston's team.
Well, and again, a lot of the receivers were beat up.
But if you look at their offense as a whole, Houston's offense has been way better.
Yeah.
Like statistically, all year they've been better. And Baltimore obliterated. Their defense obliterated that offense.
Baltimore's well, let's look at it this way.
They obliterated everybody.
Since Christmas Day, they obliterated the 49ers, they obliterated the Dolphins, and then they rested their starters.
Well, the Dolphins, who arguably had the best offense.
Well, at least they had been for a while. I mean, they
had the potential to have a good.
Looked kind of bad at the end of the year, but at least at the beginning of the year they did.
Yeah.
I mean, they scored 70 points on Denver earlier, so there's.
It was Denver, so.
Yeah, but Baltimore won that game. I think it was 56-19 or something.
It's insane.
And then they rested their starters the last game, had the bye, and then their next game was this game against Houston where
they
won 34-10. So.
I just don't see Kansas City's offense having an answer. And Baltimore, with their combination of how good their run game is and having that dual threat between quarterback on the ground and in the air, Kansas City's defense is pretty good this year, but I can't see them getting over Baltimore. Baltimore's just, in my opinion, they are still the best team in this playoffs.
Yeah.
And I got to give the edge to the Baltimore.
And I totally agree with that. And the crazy thing is, again, I've mentioned with Baltimore, they're a great team. We kind of overlooked them for at least the first half of the season because, again, my thing was how will injuries play a factor? How long can Lamar and some of their other key guys stay healthy? They did lose Dobbins and a couple of their running backs still
at the
to injury.
Of the season.
But they've
their backups have stepped up.
They've
been
Lamar
having really good.
Has
Lamar,
stayed
obviously.
healthy, and
he broke the QB rushing record, didn't he?
I'm not sure about that. You should look
it
that up. But either way, they stayed healthy for the most part, and they're guys that need to step up. Lamar's played great. Defense has been fantastic, and Baltimore at this point, for a good reason, is the favorite, especially in this game. In Baltimore, I'm going with Baltimore too, and I would get joy seeing the Chiefs lose bad.
Okay, no, he set the record in 2019.
That was when he won MVP last time.
And he had 1,200 yards. So how many did he have this season?
But either way, it was a great. The thing is, statistically, he actually I don't think wasn't.
He only had 800.
Statistically, I don't think he was as good as his last MVP season.
Well, but the
team as a whole,
since that Christmas game, I believe he's had.
And the team as a whole has actually looked better than that. So.
Oh yeah, the team as a whole has looked phenomenal. I definitely think Baltimore's winning this game against Kansas City. I personally don't think it's going to be close. I think the first half will be close, but I think after the second half you'll really see the defense.
Well, the first half was close in that Houston game too, and then
but I think you'll see Baltimore's defense really shut down Kansas City's offense in the second half, and I think that second half is going to be a blowout.
And I agree, and I hope you're right because I'd love to see.
Yeah, I think the whole country, other than the 3.5 Kansas City fans, would agree with me.
So
I say 3.5 because
the
the other 12 million are Taylor Swift fans. So
honestly, us football fans are just sick and tired of the Chiefs. Let's be honest. We're just
and it's not even whatever the Taylor Swift thing. Whatever.
That's whatever. It's
just Pat Mahomes and Kelsey's good. Pat Mahomes is good, but they're annoying.
Yeah, we were all sick of the Chiefs before Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
That's not the issue. I mean, that just adds another layer to it. But again, that game on Sunday, it wasn't Taylor Swift that they were showing. It was Kelsey Mahomes that they were showing.
Like Mahomes is on the sideline getting like his foot massaged by whatever intern, and you're completely missing the game because they're playing that. Like, I don't care. Anyway,
that's a whole nother thing. But
on the other side,
go Baltimore.
The
NFC side, it'll be Detroit Lions at the San Francisco 49ers.
That is going to be a good game.
Yeah, it will be.
Honestly, this is harder for me to pick than the other one. One, just because I didn't like Kansas City, I was going to not pick them anyway.
Yeah.
But the Lions have so much momentum behind them, and having momentum like that, and basically, I can tell you 90% of the country is probably rooting for the Lions just for the story.
Yeah.
The thing that's kind of sucky is San Francisco kind of has the same kind of story going on with Mr. Irrelevant
with
as
Brock
the QB.
Purdy. Yep.
And it's just crazy. I really don't know who to pick here. The momentum, I think, is really on Detroit's side. San Francisco obviously has the better team.
Better talent and more experience.
Way more experience,
But obviously there's the Purdy thing. And again, like I said earlier, if San Francisco plays like they did against Green Bay, Detroit's should win.
Yeah.
Now, I think San Francisco will play better, but again, Detroit, they've been playing fantastic too.
Yeah. Well,
I think this is going to be a great game.
Detroit has had the occasional game this year where they have kind of looked lackluster like that. It's not, we haven't not seen that. But they always come out of it and they always play great.
And I'll say this. I picked San Francisco from the beginning of the season to be in the Super Bowl. But also, I'll just say whoever wins this game, I'm rooting for the NFC team. I'm rooting for either one of these storylines.
Yeah, no, I either want the Niners to win or I want
While I think Baltimore
Lions.
is the overall favorite probably right now, just either the Lions with their story or the Mr. Relevant Brock Purdy story would be great. I think it's going to be a great game. I'm sticking with San Francisco just because not only are they the favorite, they're at home, but I think they'll play better than they did against Green Bay, and they were the team I had already picked to be there, so I'm going to stick with that. But I would not be surprised if Detroit wins, and I while in some ways as a Bills fan, it'd be hard to see Detroit make it there before
I think
I would be happy for you guys. I would.
I think we've said that. You've said that about Detroit every round of the playoffs.
And
it
they
wouldn't
keep winning.
surprise me if they win, but I don't think they're gonna.
But they keep winning
every time.
That is true. Although I do think I picked the Rams the first game, but I think I did pick them last week. I did pick them last week.
Yep.
But yeah, they keep winning.
It's funny. I'm gonna have to agree with you. I think San Francisco is gonna win this one. I think like you said, Detroit definitely could, but San Francisco just has a whole lot more talent. And Detroit is a very young team. I think they'll be back next year. I think they'll be better than they were this year, which is crazy because they were already really good. The thing that's going to hurt them is they're losing some people next year. But anyway, we're talking about this year right now.
Yeah.
I think San Francisco is going to take the cake in this one. I think they're going to just barely beat them. I think it's going to be close to what it was last week against Green Bay. Although if San Francisco plays like they did last week, I think Detroit's going to run away with it. But if San Francisco is playing their full strength, I think it's going to be a very close game, but I do think San Francisco has the edge.
I think this is going to be a better game than the AFC game. I
100% agree with you. I
think Baltimore's going to win that, but this game, again, I'm picking San Francisco, but it could go either way. It's going to be interesting to see what happens as it's crazy we're already down to the final four teams in the NFL. Seems like we just started this and the season started, and we're already almost done with it, but it's going to be exciting to see. And
definitely.
Again, it's for me. I love football no matter what. I mean, I've been a fan. Obviously, I'm a Bills fan, but I'm a fan of football just in general, and I like watching what happens because growing up, my team wasn't that good. So
At least now you won't have to stress out about your team losing.
There's that.
They already
hey,
did.
And by the way, his birthday's on the Super Bowl Sunday, so
Yes.
instead of me stressing out about that, we can celebrate
with you
my
birthday
and have a little bit of fun there.
Hopefully the Chiefs don't make it or win.
That would be a
horrible birthday gift.
Yes.
Horrible.
And I mainly just feel bad for the city of Buffalo. Just all the stuff they've been through.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's rough.
For someone that's never been, like, what is it? What when you think of Buffalo, I think the national perspective of Buffalo is not anything. It's chicken
Buffalo
wings.
Actually live there? Because I don't think so.
No, there's that. That's
so why
true.
are they called Buffalo?
Well, it's that's a whole nother.
2, I think of about 14 feet of snow.
Snow, chicken wings, probably.
Believe it or not, I never think chicken wings when I think of Buffalo. Even though you got Buffalo Wings and there's a whole chain named Buffalo Wild Wings, I never ever. Think of
Buffalo
that.
Wings are. I don't know where Buffalo Wild Wings started, but Buffalo Wings are a thing because they were invented in Buffalo.
I know that, but for some reason I never.
There's that, and I think the third thing is just disappointing losses.
I was gonna say for sure, definitely losing Super Bowls is one of the things that comes to mind when I think of Buffalo.
The national, that's what I say. The national, I think, narrative of Buffalo is
choking.
It's not good, and I've been there a few times. Obviously, my dad grew up in the area. It's a better place than that, and the people are great. I think sometimes heartbreak and bad situations actually make you stronger. So
clearly didn't make you guys much stronger. You get 4 losses and you still didn't win.
I'm talking about the people, not just
the people, not the football team. Okay, I'm glad we specified.
Because I tell you what, it's when you have to go through that, it's.
See, I'm lucky. My team was the opposite. The Commanders were phenomenal back in the 70s. We were honestly, they were one of the best franchises up until Dan Snyder bought us.
Well,
about
one of the Bills' 4 Super Bowl losses was
to my
to
team.
the Redskins back then.
The Redskin potatoes. Not,
the potatoes. No, so yeah, it's interesting. I obviously as a fan, I'm disappointed, but I do feel bad for the players, but I feel bad for the fans that have been there for decades, and it's just been
maybe in a couple of years.
We say that every year, and we'll see. But
no, maybe it'll be one of those things where it's one of the best teams to never win a Super Bowl, the Josh Allen Bills.
Honestly, we've been there a few times. We've been. I mean, honestly, okay. The 4 straight Super Bowls, we probably should have won at least one. We were one of the best teams in the NFL, did not win. Even when we had Doug Flutie in the late '90s, we had the Music City Miracle where we very easily could have been there, did not. And then now
that's
this
kind of
era,
rough when the team wins against you, and it gets called a miracle.
And it's happened multiple times.
And it's one of the most known football games. Is the music?
Well, we had the wide right in the first Super Bowl.
Yep.
Then we lost 3 more. We had the Music City Miracle,
which is one of the most talked about games.
And then in this era with Josh Allen, we had the 13 seconds. We had wide right again. We had although the Hail Murray, that was a regular, that wasn't a playoff game, but still there's that. There was the Justin Jefferson play. We've had it's been
and they
one
all
after
win the SB for the play of the year.
Yeah,
they do every single time.
It's just the play of the year is going to probably go against the Bills this year. I don't know which one it will be, but
there's a couple. Oh,
honestly,
one thing we didn't mention.
If Kadarius Toney's foot wasn't on the line the first game, that would have been
play of the year. Yeah, play of the year that wasn't.
Yeah.
Something we didn't talk about that was really cool was the punt return. Well, no, we did talk about the punt return for Houston.
Yeah, we did. We briefly mentioned it, but that was a great play.
That was awesome.
It's unfortunate that was their only touchdown.
Yeah, that's rough. Poor CJ Stroud. But really, I think that's it. We'll be back next week again talking about Super Bowl matchups. That'll be a lot of fun. I'm really excited to watch football this next week. It'll be 2 games instead of 4, so lots to talk about.
As disappointing as I am, in another sense, like you said, it will be more or less stressful, at least for me. I can just kind of sit back and enjoy
the game.
So there's that, I guess. It is what it is, and for all my fellow Bills fans out there, keep staying strong. That's been our motto. Let's just keep.
If you want any tips on enjoying a team that sucks, just let me know. I got plenty.
Hey, that's the thing, though. You can't call either of us bandwagon fans. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely not.
We stick through the hard times and the struggle, and just makes us stronger, I guess. So
we won 4 games in 6 weeks and didn't win a single game after that.
Hey, but at least you guys got a good draft pick.
Yeah, and we're gonna waste it on somebody stupid probably. Ugh, I hope not.
And now for us, it's like, what now? Because it's like, I don't know what, it'll be interesting to see what we end up doing because it's like, we have a good enough team.
Yeah, you don't really even have a lot of money to spend in the offseason.
Well, and that's the thing, too, is I saw, too, that the cap hit for Josh Allen is going to go way up this next season.
Way
so
up
it's
to
going to be hard to
hang
on to some. So I don't know.
My team's got a great position. We got a number 2 overall draft pick.
Hey,
we've got the most cap space of any
I'll
team.
say this: no matter who you are in the NFL, you're not in as worse a position as the Carolina Panthers. So
yeah, they've got probably the worst. Like Dan Snyder was bad, but at least he didn't throw beer at fans.
There's that, and at least you didn't trade your number 1 pick from this year to get a number 1 pick last year, where you got a quarterback that wasn't even the best quarterback in the class and barely won a game this year. And now you don't have your pick this next year, so you're kind of stuck with nothing.
And no one wants to coach there. No free agents want to go there.
Yeah, so that's kind of
owner sucks.
There's that. So at least you're not that unless
you're probably going to become the poverty
unless you are
franchise.
a Panthers fan, and I'm sorry for you guys, but
yeah. Well,
there's another team that before we wrap it, there's another team that actually a couple years ago was one of the best teams in the league to not win a Super Bowl. When Cam Newton was there for a couple years, they were really That was that one year they only lost like one game, right? And they made it to the Super Bowl and ended up losing, and they kind of now they're where they're at now. That's kind of unfortunate to see too.
Rough. But
anyway,
Cam Newton basically died. I mean, he went from MVP to scrub.
Let's hope that doesn't happen to Josh Allen because
I don't think that
yeah.
will.
Well, anyway, we'll see where we go next. But
yeah. Anyway, next week we'll be back again with the conference championships.
We'll have the Super Bowl set after next time we see you guys. So
a lot of fun. I'm excited.
We'll see what happens.
Go football, go sports, go everybody but Kansas City. Woo.
Go everyone, yeah, and stay strong, all you losing fans out there. And Kansas City, I hope you guys fall apart. I don't feel bad if you lose at all.
Nope, I hope you do.
And I do too. And also, another thing is, there's 32 teams in the league. 31 teams end their season in disappointment, so only one can win. And I mean, it would be best for Lions fans, but we'll see.
Yeah, it would. Anyway,
we'll
see you guys next week.
See you guys next week.
Some more football.